Well, welcome everybody to the Fayette County Prevention Coalition Pizza for Prevention Community Forum. I'd like to start by thanking all of you for coming out after a busy Memorial Day weekend to support our youth and staying substance free. This event was made possible by a grant through the Drug Free Action Alliance and the Healthier Buckeye grant program through Job and Family Services. We were one coalition out of 5 chosen statewide to receive a stipend to begin the implementation of environmental strategies to reduce youth substance use. So today, there's some agendas in back, but for those of you who don't have one, I just wanted to go over what all we're going to be covering. Today, we will share our coalition's history and activities today. We're going to talk about why prevention is important. We're going to hear from the kids themselves about what they're facing in their lives and at school in terms of the challenges of remaining substance free. We're going to listen to an informational session from Fayette Recovery regarding best practices about talking to youth about substance abuse. Side of Paint Valley is going to do a role play for us and go over some do's and don'ts on talking to kids about substance use. And finally, we're going to talk about our next steps in the coalition, what we plan on doing to move the needle and help our kids stay substance free. So I'm going to ask folks to hold all of their questions until the end of the session. Judy, will you raise your hand? So Judy's in the back, and if you have a question, you can put your hand up, and Judy will come around and she will give you a Post-it card, and there's pens over there on the, Judy's got pens too, she is on the ball. So you can go ahead and write your questions down, because I don't know about you, but I forget what I'm thinking about if I gotta wait an hour before I gotta ask the questions. So go ahead and hand those to Judy when you're done, and we'll address all the questions at the end to keep sure we get through all of the content. In 2014, as the heroin epidemic began to take hold, a local emergency room nurse, Mandy Waters, noticed an increase in the number of drug overdoses at the Fayette County Hospital. Concerned, she reached out to city and county leadership to hold a community forum about the problem. From that event, the Faith and Recovery Coalition was formed, with representatives from city, county, and state government, the local health department, Fayette Recovery, law enforcement, probation, and other nonprofit and faith-based organizations. Stephen White is a staffer from Senator Portman's office, and at one of those meetings he was like, hey, you guys need to become a drug-free community. So in the summer of 2016, an opportunity came along, and Andy, who's in the back over there, worked with the commissioners and city councilmen and formed a Healthier Buckeye Council and brought in the Healthier Buckeye Grant Program to further the goals of the Faith and Recovery Coalition. So up here you'll see the goals of that coalition include the development of detox services in our community, an inpatient treatment facility for men, and that's where folks go to after they've been detoxed. They go stay there for up to 6 months. And then for some folks, they may not have a home to go to that is substance free. Julie and I were just talking about and not to belittle the situation or make light of it, but have you ever had to stay away from carbs? So what if you were trying to stay away from carbs today and I'm having a pizza party, right? So anybody here trying not to do that might have some difficulties in that. So that's why we felt that recovery housing was another goal that we would need to have, so that people that don't have that situation for themselves could have a safe place to go to remain sober. So we also launched the Healthier Buckeye Project to bring the coalition into the drug-free community standard, and that is talking about prevention for our youth. And we decided to make that a separate coalition, so it's a subcommittee of the Faith and Recovery Coalition, but we hold our own separate meetings and have our own separate voting structure for that program. So the drug-free community standard relies on a 12-sector community coalition using the strategic prevention framework and the 7 strategies for community-level change. If you're interested, due to time, I can't go over all of those today. You can go to the Community Action webpage, go to Community, and then the Faith and Recovery Prevention Coalition. And on that website, it'll outline everything that we did for our needs assessment, and we'll have more details and reports on everything that we talk about here today. So our first step was to conduct a community readiness assessment, and that determined that our county was in the pre-planning stage of development, which means that it's time to do a lot of education and awareness in our community. So a lot of people recognize in our community that substance use is an issue, but they're not really sure what to do about it. They don't really know how to help. They don't know where to go for help. So what that means as a community is it's time for us to have events like these to talk about the issue and get everybody on the same page. We also conducted an individual level assessment of the 6th, 8th, and 10th grades at our local schools. Did I mess that up again? Amy, you might have to take this from me. I can't be trusted. So we surveyed 6th, 8th, and 10th graders on their past 30-day use, what their perceptions of substance use were, and what they thought their friends and their family thought of this. And what we found is in the 10th grade was our highest numbers out of all the 3 grade floors. 26% of our youth reported using alcohol and 13% reported using marijuana in the past 30 days. Only 7% reported using prescription that was not prescribed to them. We also took a look at juvenile probation data to see how many of youth that were on probation were also looking at substance use issues. And around 50% of them reported back that they had gotten a probation violation due to substance use. We also held focus groups with the community at large, the local schools, law enforcement, and with local youth. This uncovered a surprising fact that many youth are purchasing alcohol and tobacco from local retailers. We had originally thought that just didn't go on anymore. But unsurprisingly, we found that the sources of where they're getting these things are their friends or older peers. So I did this focus group with a group of middle schoolers, and a lot of them expressed like a disdain for the use of heroin, but I also noticed in all of the surveys and all of the conversations we had that there's a belief that marijuana is medicine. So I was doing that focus group, and literally I told the kids, I'm like, look, whatever you have to say, I'm not going to tell your name or anything that you do. And I had this father walk in, and just right as this kid raised his hand, he's like, down with heroin, go weed. I promise I'm not talking your kids into using substances. We're trying to figure out how you really feel, right? So at any rate, that really uncovered just how ingrained it is in youth today. And all the surveys over and over again talk about stress and anxiety as reasons for use. We also did organizational assessments, created inventory of community resources for both prevention and treatment of substance misuse disorders, and we conducted a policy review of local school districts' response to substance use. We found that the county lacks sufficient treatment resources, and that while prevention programs already exist in the community, they were underutilized, and they need additional funding to be universal. Also, through this process, school districts were able to share the challenges that they have to partnering with substance use providers, and we're working on getting substance abuse education in the schools again. So that took a little of negotiation, talking about how we can leave enough time for instruction, but also have enough classes that it would be evidence-based and still create change. So right now, the status of that is we are going into 3rd and 4th grades at both Washington City schools and Miami Trace schools. And then Amy's working on getting things set up, so we anticipate being into the middle and high school at Washington Courthouse next year as well. So currently, both of our school districts have adequate protective systems that are in place when they go to school, and this curbs youth substance use. So in Washington City schools, I don't know if you've ever walked in there and you saw their door, but they use drug dogs. They come from outside the community, and they just come in, and that's used as a deterrent there. At Miami Trace schools, they have a resource officer on site, so that also puts a protective factor in for that school district. They also have appropriate plans at the school districts. They have a response plan for how to deal with youth substance use, which includes reporting to authorities, certain discipline measures, but also I want to note at Washington City schools, they have building teams where they come together, meet and talk about kids that have active substance use issues and meet surrounding what they can do about that and helping the kids. Both districts have also signed off to support our 12-month action plan for our Drug-Free Communities grant application and supported our Adam Board's recent application for a PACS Good Behavior Game to happen in the elementary schools. And what PACS Good Behavior Game is really quickly is just a kind of you move the lion kind of thing when you get in trouble, except for it has some gameplay in it, and it teaches kids self-regulation. And it's shown to create results and help kids learn how to self-regulate and increase instruction time. And then last but not least, we have worked to form 2 youth coalitions at the local schools. They're called Lead Out Loud and Break Free. Excellent names. The kids came up with those themselves. That's awesome. Our youth coalitions leaders serve on our county's prevention coalition, and it is with great pride and my breath returning to me that I am so happy to turn over this presentation to them to share why prevention is important and what they're going to work on next school year. We often talk about youth being our leaders of tomorrow, but let me assure you, after this time working with our youth, I would like to echo the sentiments that I learned at the National Anti-Drug Coalition training at CADCA and say that they're not our leaders of tomorrow, but they're truly our leaders today. So without any further ado, join me in welcoming Kiara Heights, Hunter Howard, and Levi Heights to the stage.
Drug overdose is the leading cause of accidental death in the U.S., with 52,404 people dying of drug poisoning in 2010. Opioid addiction is driving this epidemic, with over 20,000 overdose deaths related to prescription pain relievers and almost 13,000 overdose deaths related to heroin. Ohio was 4th in the nation for overdose deaths. Across Ohio, someone died from a drug overdose every 2 hours and 52 minutes in 2014.
According to the Ohio Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, Bay County is considered a Tier 2 county, which means that it falls within the top 2/3 of the hardest hit communities in Ohio. Bay Memorial Hospital reports that 61% of the 200 overdoses at the hospital alone related to opioids, with the other 39% from alcohol in 2016.
Addiction is a progressive disease. From years of research, we know that the earlier someone uses substances and the frequency which they use them, coupled with other factors including family history, peer influence, stress, loneliness, and other health factors, and a type of drug.
The average age of a heroin addict is 23. The previously stated addiction is progressive. So while not every person that smokes, drinks, or uses drugs like marijuana, at a young age becomes immediately addicted or goes on to use harder drugs. The likelihood of their becoming addicted increases as their drug use continues. The use becomes normalized. They begin taking on greater risks. We treat substance use the same way we do other public health issues. The problem starts to make more sense and becomes solvable social problems.
A study showed that 42% of all individuals that used alcohol before the age of 15 developed alcohol dependence, compared to only 10% of their peers that waited until they were 21 years old. Youth delaying first use or completely abstaining decreases the total number of individuals that become addicted. To be effective, substance abuse education must be backed by research, delivered frequently, and between the evidence-based use of prevention and the decrease in problem substance use. Every dollar spent on prevention programs saves the community $10 of treatment.
The Fayette County Prevention Coalition, alongside the Lead Out Loud and Break Free Youth Coalitions, are working to implement the seven strategies for interacting community-level change to prevent substance and uses before they start. Over the next 12 months, youth coalitions will partner with adults to complete our community needs assessments and begin the implementations of our 12-month action plan. Before we leave tonight, Christina will share our next steps to conduct our environmental stand.
My name is Hunter Howard. I just graduated from Myers Trace High School. I joined the coalition because I believe the heroin epidemic is a community problem that can only be solved.
Hi, my name is Kiara Heights, and I joined the coalition group due to my family history with drugs and alcohol abuse. And I decided I wanted to do something about it and stand up for what I believe in and try helping as many people as possible. And in that account, I helped perform the break-free program, and I got as many students as I could at the end of the year to get them into the program. And we're gonna have them have pizza. We're gonna meet up every once a month. So if you have anyone that's in middle school or in high school that you'd love your student to participate in this program, please just give us a note. Or if they're in minor trades, then just let us know for the Lead Out Loud.
Hi, I'm Levi Heights, and I'm in 9th grade, and I joined Help Those Who Need It.
And this is back to Christina.
Thanks, guys. Who we're missing tonight is Maddie Wallace. Maddie is our youth coalition leader for Miami Trace. She had a death in the family, so unfortunately Maddie could not be with us tonight, but she is rocking and rolling over at Miami Trace schools also. So the whole purpose of the youth coalitions is to, create space for our local youth to be substance-free and to help their peers in staying substance-free. And using the 7 strategies for community level change, they will also be doing stuff like the adult coalition, like providing information, working together to talk about stressors at school and being able to resist substance use. And also there's a component in each of the groups where the coalitions are reaching out to the middle schools. That way they have some people, right, as they're making that transition, and they have a sober group of friends to go to once they start high school. So also what has not been mentioned yet either is, while it's not evidence-based, I find it pretty evidence-based that people show up and there's prizes and food. Our finance committee chair, Mika Rhodes, is been going out and about, and they'll have raffles every month, so the kids will have stuff to give away, and then we'll have a big event at the end of the year also, where we'll just kind of get rid of all the rest of this stuff. So not only is there a social benefit to the youth coalitions, but they're also going to have lots of fun too. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Hunter, and Hunter is going to share Maddie's presentation on what she thinks that parents need to know about youth substance use.
Hi guys, my name is Hunter. I'm coming from Maddie, and this whole slide shows it's kind of to break the stereotype of what you think a druggie is, like just a kid that uses drugs. Honestly, it could be any kid. People will usually say, "Oh, my kid wouldn't do that." You'd be surprised. We've all been in high school. I just got out. I knew the biggest thing for me was I had too much on my plate. I had school, sports, I had to worry about grades for sports and colleges. And another thing that affects school life without is relationships. The kids you hang out with in high school are probably the ones that make the biggest difference in your life. They're who you activities you do around, and the hobbies you take up from your friends. And for example, Adderall. I don't know if you guys know what Adderall is. It's a drug for kids that have ADHD, and I believe it's to help them calm them down. For kids that don't have it, it is the exact opposite. It keeps them up, it helps them study more, it makes them pay more attention. Now that does sound good, but it's not good for you. We're talking about substance abuse, doesn't mean just marijuana. It could be any drug, Tylenol, anything like that. Like sports, for example. Like let's say someone hurt their hand, well, they could take 5 Tylenol. Life. Home life is a big effect because no matter what happens in the day, it's where you go. And some, not all teenagers, but some work. And especially if they're doing sports, school, and working, they're having very little time to study and socialize. And they may go for something else to, I guess, keep them up or keep them going. And another big thing in high school, I guess, is ego. Sadly, sometimes the most popular kids are not the ones not doing the legal stuff. Relationships. Like I said, friendships, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever you hang out with, not all the time, but can dictate what you're interested in and peer pressure, which is a big deal. Missing family bonds. When I say missing, it doesn't mean they're not in their life. It could be more like neglect. They may use another substance to fill in that hole that they don't have. And what do these cause? Stress. And there's three things you can do as a parent to help out. Listen. Now, some kids are hard to open up to. They don't open up that well. You gotta be patient. You just gotta give them time. And of course, you gotta pay attention. And finally, understand. If you seem closed-minded, they just want to shut you out. They're not gonna open up after them. And for a parent, the best thing that could be is your kids trusting you and being open to you. Because without trust, you don't know what to do. Sadly, that's what you don't need in your life. It's not what it's good. You need a good role model. And most people do not listen with the intent to understand, they listen with the intent to reply. Stephen showed you what we do that. And the questions I believe will be more than that.
Thank you, Hunter. Hunter came up this morning that he was going to present for Maddie. I think he did a great job. Let's give him a hand. I know as we're getting this switched over, I know if Maddie were here, she would want you all to know that she just wanted everybody to understand that we all have this picture in our head that it's only the pushers or the peers or the friends that are causing substance use issues in our youth. But what Maddie wanted everybody to know is that, in our never-ending race for achievement, that there can be times that in our efforts to help our children set themselves up for success, that kids that we don't realize are using to deal with the stress, or as Hunter pointed out, using prescriptions incorrectly so that they can keep up with their 4.0 and everything they have going on. So without any further ado, I'd like to invite Amy Seidel up with their recovery. Oh wait, I skipped, didn't I? Okay, sorry. Next up is Kiara Heights and the Break Free Coalition. Thank you everybody for keeping me straight.
There are some people who are afraid to feel better because once they do, it could easily be taken away. So in order to deal with that, we resort to alcohol or drugs and sometimes both at the same time. And we think that it will work, and it does at first.
Alcohol felt like my friend. I could party with it, drink it, feel good when I'm using it. I could always count on alcohol to make me feel better, and somehow along the way, I became addicted and I never admitted that to myself. I didn't think that doing simple things like talking to people and supports would be good. All I know is that they help me relax. When I'm in school, it helps me stress less, play less, and constantly is all that matters to me. I've seen parents and my friends use it, and they're looking at it. The after effect of alcohol and drugs sucks. It makes you happy, and it makes you feel better while using it, and then once you are all sobered up, it goes away, and you're right back to feeling stressed, lost, and alone. It just makes sense to continue using it. It wasn't a big deal.
The reality of all of this is that it makes families fall apart, and teenagers forget who they are and where they belong and where they're supposed to go in the future. It also makes us lose value of who we think we're meant to be, and it makes people look at us differently. Alcohol's taken many lives away from us, just as much as drugs has. When will it stop? It went from adults to teenagers, and now it's to children. Take a look around you, because you never know if it's the person beside you that might be doing it. Make sure you look at behind closed doors what could be going on, because you never know, so you just want to be careful.
Thank you, Kiara, for that perspective, on how that might be using or thinking about that. It's very valuable to us. So now, seriously, this time, we're going to have Amy Seidel come up with Bay Recovery to talk about best practices.
My name's Amy. I'm from Buckeye Area Recovery, Fayette Recovery. We all talk about a lot of different things when it comes to drug addiction. You don't hear a lot of people talk about how to talk to teenagers. When looking at the perspective how to talk to teenagers, we have to use evidence-based like we do in treating addicts. Part of evidence-based is the use of coalitions. It's proven to work. The statistic shows from the Drug Reaction Alliance, children of parents who talk to their teens about drugs are up to 50% less likely to use. Now, who wouldn't give that to their child? But yet, sometimes we don't because we're afraid. We don't want them to think we're intruding. Well, I want to let you guys watch a video. It's about 11 minutes long, but it's going to show you what happens when you don't take that step, when we're not brave enough to take that step. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about that. And we often think that, well, that's a video the state made or so forth or so on. I work for Fayette Recovery Center, Buckeye Area Recovery Center, same place. And I'm a licensed counselor and a preventionist. That's not just a video that you see every day. The youngest client I've ever counseled myself was a 9-year-old. And I've seen many people, hundreds of people die since I've been counseling and working in this field for 11 years. People come and they beg for help because they want help. We do a group on Tuesday nights. Families don't know that it's okay to call the cop on under loved ones. Families don't know it's okay to look in the medicine cabinet, to look in your kid's computer. Not only is it okay, but that is your job as a parent to do so. And the lack of doing so causes people to die. I'm not going to read every slide on here word for word, but because I have it back here at the resource table so you can read it a little in depth, I want to give you guys a realistic view of what's really going on in our communities. These are steps that we can take as adult and caregivers of those around us. We have to monitor. We have to monitor what's going on. We have to monitor why it's going on. If there's prescription drugs in our house, you need to lock them up. Well, my daughter or my son would never. Like I said, the youngest child I've ever treated was a 9-year-old. We can't say your child would never. If you noticed on that video, there's 5 stories. 3 of those people died. One is medically changed forever. That's the reality of it. More people will pass away by premature death than will get recovery when they're an addict. So if we can help our community never start, they'll never have to quit. So we have to monitor. We have to know what's going on in our own home. If we have medications, we have to lock them up. Unfortunately, a lot of people in the community think, well, it's not a prescription medicine, I don't have to lock that up. Not to get into too much detail, but there's a lot of over-the-counter medications you can abuse and get high from. Anywhere from Imodium to cold and cough medicine. If it's a medication, you need to get it locked up. You need to know what you have in your house. If you don't need it, you need to get rid of it. And you need to educate those around you. To dispose of medication, in Fayette County, the Sheriff's Office has a drop box. In most counties, if you're not able to get to the drop box, you can call the Sheriff's Office. They'll come pick up that medicine, and they'll dispose of it the right way. There's all kinds of different ways you can dispose of it. You don't flush it, and you just don't throw the bottle in the trash. That's not how it works. we have to recognize the signs. They said some signs in the videos. We have some signs that's related to what medication or what drug it might be. There's specific signs for specific drugs, but this is what you have to know. When things are changing, something's changing. So when their eyes are changing, when they're not doing so good in schools, when their attitude's changing, when they're getting new friends, their grades are dropping, clothes are changing, appearance is changing, something's changing. When your aluminum foil isn't there anymore, when you find baggies with the corners of them tore out, when you're losing spoons, something's changing. Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings, or I don't want to accuse them or something. Let me tell you from personal experience, I really wish somebody would accuse my brother of something who's now passed away due to addiction. It is only a privilege that you have a chance to ask them. Ask a parent or a loved one of somebody who's an addict. If they're alive, how blessed they are that they did make that step. Practical advice to parents, respect the power of the medication. Recognize all medications, over-the-counter prescriptions are all dangerous. Take responsibility for learning. You don't know what you don't know, and unless you educate, you'll never know. Things don't change if things don't change. And you have to share what you know. Not everybody's privileged enough for their community to come out like this. I work in 3 different counties for Pickaway Area Recovery Services. We are so blessed in Fayette and Pickaway County what these coalitions are doing. There's counties who will not even acknowledge that there's an issue. And Fayette County has taken that step. You guys are very blessed in this county that you have such good community leaders. Because they do not have to do this. They do not have to educate. So take that education to others. If you're a parent, you have to learn how to say it. You have to learn what to say, learn how to answer the questions, learn how to teach your kids to turn it down. We can't just assume our kids know how to say no. That's not what it is. And that's one aspect of evidence-based prevention. People think in prevention we go in and we teach them about drugs. We go in, we teach them about decision-making, coping skills, communication skills, so they have the skills to say no. And then we reinforce that with some education so they have the desire to say no. You can make a real difference in the lives of family, loved ones, friends, co-workers, and neighbors by sharing the information through social media, through email. It's okay to stand up for what you believe in. If you believe this is wrong, it's okay to say that. When somebody's trying to act cool, especially you youth, and you guys have to, these kids are extraordinary. They are wonderful. These kids will save more lives than me as a preventionist ever will, just by them standing up and saying that they're standing against this. And I appreciate them for that. We have to stand up and not be ashamed or scared of what someone might think of us. Children of parents who talk to them is 50% less likely to use. 1 in 6 teens has used prescription drugs to get high or change their mood. Scare tactics don't work. In the prevention field, if I did not touch on this, the state would come after me. I don't work for the state, but the state has done some awesome research, and it shows the things that we did back in the day, like this is your brain on drugs, don't work. We have to stop trying to scare these kids and educate them and teach them to make informed decisions. Bringing an addict into a school is the worst thing you could ever do. The first reason that, unless you guys don't know, I have 4 kids, 2 of them are teenagers. Did you guys know teenagers are smarter than we are? They are. So if you bring an adult drug addict into a school and they say how they made all these mistakes, those kids are going to be smarter than them and they can do it without making those mistakes. And second of all, you bring an addict into a school and you let them tell their story, you're putting them on a pedestal, starting their slow fade to where they relapse. Not only are you harming the juveniles, but you're harming the addict. As a preventionist and counselor, our job is to do no harm, and doing that will definitely harm people and cost them their life. Scare tactics do not work. There's education back there. You can go on a website called NREP. Make sure you're providing evidence-based education. 1 second. She's going to show you, this is a minute video of what you can do and how you can talk to your kids. It's not always easy talking to your kids. A lot of people ain't got such a big mouth like me, and it's so okay to do it. These are just some steps. It's okay just to ask your kid, how you doing? What can I do? How was your day? These are some leadways in to make sure you know exactly what points. Don't try to take notes. This is back here on this tape.
Thank you, Amy, for sharing some of those best practices with us. Another thing, we have a wide group of people here today, and you don't have to be a parent to influence the life of a child, right? So most people that are able to stay substance-free have a person outside of their family that they trust and respect, and that's another person that you can talk to, just sharing your views and your beliefs about substance use and telling the truth about it, not being like, oh, if you do that, you're gonna die. Let's give real facts and talk to kids about it in a way that's meaningful. So next, I would like to invite James Bunch from Sida Paint Valley to talk to you guys about some do's and don'ts, and Kiara and Hunter will be coming up and providing some feedback.
Hi, my name is James. I'm the team lead over at Sida Paint Valley Mental Health. Got my cohort here, Julie Reed. She's our AOD counselor. She's also a tech person today, along with Amy coming up every now and then. What I wanted to do, actually, Amy's last video there was 10 points that try to help parents, try to help anybody really to talk about, the substance use issues, talk about drugs, talk about, just day-to-day life. And so a lot of the points that I've chosen are focusing on skills for listening and communicating that will help anybody in any situation, but I kind of focused a little bit on talking to teens. So what I'm going to talk about first is the technique of one-down approach. One-down approach is looking at if your authority figure at all, so parents are very much included in this, or in my position as a counselor, I try to take this approach because teens don't really respond well, in general, to authority, right? They don't like being talked to, they don't like being preached to. I think one of the pictures there is they don't lecture, right? A lot of times, the teens themselves have just so much to talk about, so much knowledge, and a lot of times it's just a lot more helpful to reflect on their own stories, their own knowledge, and being able to come alongside them, right? So the first one is the one-down approach, and I'm going to kind of, it's hard to role play this stuff, so I'm going to go kind of single questions, bad example, good example. A lot of times I see this in the counseling room as well. You'll hear bad questions like, this is me as a parent. Gosh, how stupid are your kids at school? That question, it's pretty much, very vicious and volatile. What would you think if someone asked you that question?
Well, for one, that could be the kid's friends are involved in that stuff, and don't know what that gets into.
Personally, if, not saying I do, but if I were the one using the drugs and my parents said that to me, I'd be a little, oh, well, if I ever get stuck in this situation, I don't think I can go to them because they have such a judgment on my friends and the people in my school.
As far as what that question goes, what they pointed out is there's an assumption right in there. You're assuming that they're perfectly fine, judgment all over the place. So, kind of the standard is don't assume, and try to open up. Another bad question. This is a funny one, and I get this a lot. So, I would kill you if you ever found out you were doing drugs. Are you? What would you say to that question?
One's a bit hostile, and the number one goal is to let your kid open up, and you kind of put things on there.
If my aunt ever said that to me, I would believe her. She probably would kill me. And so I would definitely not ever do it, even if that wasn't the case. But if anyone was told that, or if I was told that, then I'd be like, oh crap, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this situation? If I tell my parents what I'm doing, they're just going to hate me even more. They're going to be mad at me. And you know, that's a teenage thought, like my parents hate me because they grounded me instead.
Now that question, obviously, you know, emphasized kind of like a super angry parent. But, you know, tame it down, like, I'd be so disappointed, you know, you'd be so grounded. And there's just a plethora of responses that parents give. You know, here's your punishment, do you want to receive it, right? You know, so of course the kid, no way. You know, so, and it's odd how frequently I do see that. So, the next question, this is kind of a take on that. It's not necessarily a question, but it's something that's said often, and it shuts down communication. I'm glad I made you better than you use drug route. What would you say to that?
Well, for one, you're assuming again. Number two, like I said, it's like you're guilt tripping me, and I want to disappoint, so I wouldn't talk to you.
I could be using it behind closed doors, and I might be using it just for like school to help me become less stressful, and I won't know what to do. Like maybe I don't use it too often, but I use it every once in a while, and like my parent would go, oh, so that's what the situation is, and you're not going to stop doing it, and you just won't know what to say. Like you're going to have to back up and maybe talk to your friends, but your friends might be using it, so they're just going to convince you to use it even more.
So those are examples of bad questions that come from a place of authority, correct? A lot of times, teens, adults, little kids, they don't respond well to authority. Everybody, if you come alongside them, tends to warm up a lot easier. You'll have a lot more communication. So some good questions. And they're not as organic as they can be as far as like if you're talking to your own kids, you're talking to your peers. But the structure is there, and as far as what the one-down approach is, you are attempting to get the team, the student, your peer, your friend, to teach you or to basically share their story, their side of things. So, a better question. I heard someone talk about drug issues at the school, and they couldn't quite believe or understand that it was that bad. How would you say it is at your school?
Well, for one, a good thing is you're being neutral about it, not being hostile, you're taking an interest. That's what that'll get a team.
It's a conversation starter, so it's not like just diving directly in like, oh my gosh, your students in your school are using drugs, like are you really doing that? Like we ask them the bad questions. It helps the student kind of open up a little more, like, okay, well, my parents interested in hearing this, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of give a little waiver, say the danger zones that maybe some of my friends are using it, but I'm not, but I would like to find a way to help them. So it kind of opens up an open story for them to talk about it.
Another question, which attempts to empathize a little bit. We talked about it several times during all of the presentation, which is a lot of the social pressures are more intense, or there's just a lot more available. Let's talk about like Adderall. That's still a drug that's used a ton in college. It keeps you up, makes you study harder, keeps you hyped up. The abuse of it does a lot of damage there. That's a study. So the question that kind of approaches that would be, it seems like your generation has so much pressure on it. You think there's a lot of pressure on you. What would you think on that?
I think it's a very good question because you're trying to relate one of the problems because being a teen, it can have a lot of problems like being an adult. And try to connect with them that way is probably the best.
Whether your teenager says yes or no to that question, you can still find ways to help your teenager kind of cope with the issues that are going on or the pressure that they're dealing with, and kind of help them understand on a better level of ways that can help prevent that affecting them in that way.
So I'm going to move on to the next skill. And I know I'm trying to cover active listening is the next skill. I had a whole semester on this in college. It's very difficult. But there's a few in there that if you try to implement this in your communication, especially with teens, you'll find more meaningful. You'll find a lot of actual conversation that's non-surface related. I got Psych Central is the website I got this. It's a common skill for counseling. Parents are the main counselors of their children. They're going to have every opportunity. They're going to have the late night questions. So a lot of these skills will help emphasize what's going on in their lives. The first one that I chose from the list was it's a skill called reflecting. A lot of times if you're listening to somebody, they don't think you're understanding or like that, and they'll repeat back what you just said. A lot of times that kind of just grate on people, right? It's the parroting. What reflecting is you're repeating the message back, but you're emphasizing feelings, so it's changing what is being said. So if I was to say, for example, to my wife that came from work into the house, if I said, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you," she don't believe me, not a chance. And she's probably like, "Well, you don't really sound like you're happy to see me." That's reflective. So what I'm going to do with this, it's a little bit different. I'm not going to ask a question. I wrote down something for them to say verbatim, and I'm going to try to use the skill with reflecting. So
I found out that one of my friends has a brother that OD'd last night.
you can start however, but I was, wow, it sounds like a really cut beat. It's going directly to the emotion of it. You don't automatically go, well, how did that happen? Or just different things like, well, that's crazy. It allows you to reflect what they're feeling, what they're saying to you, because that emotion that they're feeling is the biggest part of what they're trying to tell you. If they're telling you something, it's time to hear it. Let me introduce it. Next one is probing. Probing, this one's a little more natural, but what it is, it's this idea that you're asking further questions, that it's not a yes or no thing. It's not answered real easily, and it's directly going kind of with the direction of the conversation. So, and it calls the person to action, further thought. Like, okay, here's the message, but what about this that goes along with it? Gets them thinking, and the discussion comes from it. So we'll go with this.
I found out that one of my friends has a brother that had OD last night.
The same question. Wow, how did you find that out?
The friend told me at school today.
Do you think you could, or do you think we could help out somehow? So the question there is, how did you find out? It's all about them, right? And they tell you how they found out. And the next question is there somehow you could help, or we could help? It's related, but it's not. And so it allows them to actually have a fuller conversation around it. The next one is called validation. This one obviously is super important for almost all communication. It allows them to continue because they feel encouraged. I'll go with it, and then I'll explain a little bit afterwards too.
I'm feeling so stressed out and I have so many things to keep up with. I just don't know if I can handle this.
Sounds like you have a lot on your plate right now. I really appreciate you even telling me about this. It just seems that so much pressure is put on you. There's two forms of validation with that response. First off, you validated them even speaking to you, right? I appreciate that you came to me with this. That goes volumes. You know, as a counselor, if I just sit there and go, that's awesome, that's great. They shut down, boom, it's done, it's over with. But if I validate them, it allows them to open up. And as I came alongside them, this is kind of reflecting a little bit more with it too. When I say I understand the pressure, it's you going, I want to come alongside you, right? That's the communication you want to have. And the last one I chose, they don't have to do anything, so it's awesome, is silence. It was a little bit put on there with Amy's video. When a child comes and they speak to you, they're so quick to respond, and we totally miss the message. They may have had a terrible day, and they started out by saying that they had pizza, you know, and you go, oh, great for pizza, let's go, you know, and they just had a terrible day and they never told you about it. Silence is a good key thing for parents to understand and make sure that they're doing it right. If the teen is speaking, if the child, the student is speaking, let them speak. Let them be heard. So that was active listening, and there's plenty more. Psych Central is a place you can look at to see different things with communication. We also have different stuff on the table for that. I want to go over one last skill, which was on, I think it was number 8, maybe 10. It was probably 10. On the last video, it was, I got 2 minutes. Teachable moments. This is super easy. Teachable moments. They had a picture of a television that had beer on it, right? There's so many times, there's so many opportunities that we have to actually talk, right? Stars that get in car wrecks, that have DUIs, that just different opportunities to start a conversation. As far as that, the beer commercials, that is one. One that I would emphasize and end with is we need to start talking to our kids very early. You know, as far as what we can do, if there's medicine in the home, if there's drugs in the home, and there's aspirin, there's Tylenol, there's anything and everything that we take on a day-to-day basis. We can start talking to 5-year-old children on the appropriate use of this and why we would use this and why we shouldn't use this. As we talk to them at a younger age, that allows them to have the structure and the ability to come to you with questions. So teachable moments starts at a very young age and goes all the way to where we're at now when we're talking to adults about the heroin issue in Washington. So, and my 2 minutes is up, so that's all I have, and hopefully you guys visit all the information we have back there. We also brought, we have some pink paper back there as far as tools for parents to start talking to kids. So,
Thanks, guys, for all of the helpful information. So how many of you guys learned something today? Awesome, that's great. Again, there's lots of resources out there, so this is a big subject and we couldn't cover it all in an hour and a half, so there's some really good materials back there. And I think they actually give examples of how to start the conversations and things to say. So just remember, talk early, talk often. Don't feel awkward about it. You know, it's kind of like having the sex talk. You don't want to do it because it's just so hard to do, but it's really important. I mean, 50% of kids are going to respond to that by choosing not to. So all you have to do is feel a little awkward for a minute to get that kind of result. I think that it's worth it. So does anybody have any questions before I move on? We are good, no questions. Yep, thank you for that. So, our next steps as a coalition is going to be to implement our Push for Prevention Summer Environmental Scan Project. What an environmental scan is so we talk about how we've done the focus groups and talked with individuals. An environmental scan is taking a look at the environment around you. So there are so many things that tell us about what we should be doing in our culture, right? And then there's ways that we increase access to substances or put it out there on a very regular basis that we're so used to as a culture that we don't really see it. So we received a small grant for the summer, and it's called the Push for Prevention Stipend again. It's an enhancement fund program. And we are looking for youth to go out and do the environmental scan, which means taking surveys and taking their cell phones and going out to restaurants, grocery stores, and to gas stations, convenience stores, those kind of things, filling out surveys. We're going to add a scavenger hunt to it and make it really, really fun. And we'll be doing pizza once a month. Jeff is going to start handing out the permission slips. So not only are we looking for youth, just go ahead and hand them out on each corner. The permission slips that are going around are for youth. So if you have a youth that you think might be interested in helping with the project, we're definitely looking to recruit more youth for our Break Free program in Washington City schools. And we're looking for more youth recruits at Eat Out Loud at Miami Trace schools. So if you know of a youth that would like to stay substance free and participate, please send them our way. Also for the summer project as well. In terms of if you're an adult and you're at this meeting today, our next steps for our coalition and how you can support our coalition is if you happen to work with a church group or a youth group or you mentor youth, we would, and if you just want to help at all, I'd like to invite folks to come join our meetings over the summer. We also have a volunteer form that I actually have up here. And I would like to, if you're interested in volunteering for the coalition, I'm going to be here for a while afterwards. I have some forms for you to sign up to be a volunteer. And we're also looking for folks to help cover the cost of pizza. Each of the coalitions will be meeting monthly, so we need that. And just to spread the word and keep talking to youth about substance use issues.
So here's kind of like a little tip, because I grew up with not the best life. Although this is kind of like, I don't want to embarrass him or anything, but I grew up and I lived with my grandma because my mom was a super duper, like, big time in drugs. She was a big time alcoholic. My dad, he got in drugs, he sold them, and now, well, he's in prison to this moment. He got out 3 years ago, went back. He didn't get the help he needed, not the right way. And some tips for some of you guys that are new grandparents who have to take care of their children because they can't do it. Like, I understand it's really difficult, and watching my aunt have to take care of me now, like, I'm blessed to have her and sit there and take care of me and deal with me because I'm not easy, okay? And so is a whole bunch of other kids. Like, we're not easy people to deal with, and it's sometimes really hard to talk to them. I just want to say, if you guys ever get in like a major fight with the child, if they need to go somewhere, like I know you guys talking about where do they go in the midnight crisis, there are churches that, like Coalition, like us, I've already provided for my youth program. I said if they're ever caught in a situation, they can call me and I will let them stay at my house willingly, no matter what time of night it is. I will be there, like, just call me. And at the end of the day, sometimes the kid has to get away from the issue, like they have to go outside of the house and just think about things. They can't be in the house with you because if they are, it's just going to be constant bickering, or it's going to be, what'd you say, like I heard you, like it's, sometimes you just have to have them out of the house. And it just comes down to letting your child kind of have that advantage of taking some time to think about the situation, come back the next day and say, okay, so this is the issue, how are we going to work it out? And communication is key. If you, right now, if you can't sit down with your child and talk to them, try to make it a priority to talk to them day by day. That's what me and my aunt are working on right now. I wasn't the best at communication, and I'm slowly getting there. She's letting me stay the night at more people's houses when I'm not in a good mood. And I only go to people's houses if they're like good people and I trust them enough to take care of me. My grandma raised me, and I'm telling you, she was an angel. She raised me to be a good child, to not follow after my mom and dad's path. And if you are a grandparent, I just want to say that you are doing an amazing job, whether you think you are or not. If you ground your child and they say they hate you, they don't mean it, I promise. Like, they honestly love you, and they will be there for you every single day.
Okay, so I am kind of infamous for running over on time, so does anybody have any burning last questions that they have to get out? Okay, wonderful. So before we adjourn for the evening, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I know that we just had a busy Memorial Day weekend. I really appreciate your time and I appreciate your support. I'd like to send out a special thank you and ask all of our adult coalition members to stand. Don't be shy, people. Give a hand to all of our adult coalition members for their participation. We're always including new members. And then we also have some reps from our youth coalitions. If you guys please stand up. She has been rocking the youth coalition and working so hard that everybody at the schools is talking about it and all the administrators and 100% of all of the success we've had have to do with our coalition members and how dedicated they are and our youth and how passionate they are about this. And I did mean it earlier, they are our leaders of today. You know, I was just amazed at everything they were doing. You know, I was like, oh wow, it's pretty easy. Kind of. So last, I'd like to take some time and thank our sponsors for this event. If I can figure this out, because I've not got it right all night. I should have let Julie. The plan was Julie was going to be my clicker. Probably should have stuck to that. So finally, I'd like to thank the community and business organization that supported our event through donating food, drinks, advertising, and space, and ask you all to please support the businesses that support our community. Thanks so much, and I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. If you're interested in hearing more about our summer project, please come see me. I have forms.